You were fine 5 minutes ago, and now your heart is racing for no reason. Jenny is sitting on her couch. She's watching something mindless on TV. Nothing stressful is happening. She's not thinking about work. She's not worried about anything specific. And then, out of nowhere, her chest tightens. Her breathing gets shallow. Her hands feel weird. And she thinks, what's wrong? Why do I feel like something terrible is about to happen? But there's nothing. No trigger, no obvious cause. Just this sudden wave of anxiety that showed up uninvited. Here's what people don't understand about anxiety. It doesn't always come from the thing you're anxious about. Sometimes it just comes, like a smoke alarm going off when there's no fire. Your brain is sounding the alarm. But the threat it's reacting to isn't in the room with you. It might not even be real. Your brain has this system that's constantly scanning for danger. And when it detects something that seems off, it sends out a warning. Your heart speeds up. Your muscles tense. Your breathing changes. All of that happens automatically. Before you even have a conscious thought about what's wrong, your body is already in defense mode. But here's the problem. That system is really sensitive. It was designed for a world where threats were immediate and physical. A predator, a rival, an actual emergency. In those situations, you need your body to react fast. Before you have time to think, that instant response could save your life. But now, same system fires off for things that aren't life-threatening. An email you need to send. A conversation you need to have. Something you saw online that reminded you of a stress from last week. Or sometimes, nothing at all. Just a random fluctuation in your nervous system that your brain interpreted as danger. And once the alarm goes off, your body does what it's programmed to do. It floods your system with stress chemicals, adrenaline, cortisol, all the things that prepare you to fight or run. And you feel that surge, that jolt, that sudden sense of panic, even though you're just sitting on your couch. And then your mind tries to make sense of it, because you're feeling all these intense physical sensations. And your brain needs a reason. It needs to explain why your heart is pounding, why you feel like you can't breathe. So it starts searching, looking for what could be wrong. And it usually finds something. Maybe you remember that thing you're worried about for next week, or that conversation that didn't go well yesterday, or that vague sense of unease you've been ignoring. And suddenly, that becomes the reason. Your brain latches onto it. This is why I'm anxious. This is the problem. But that's not actually what triggered the anxiety. Your brain is just connecting dots backwards. The anxiety came first. Then your mind found something to attach it to. And now you're spiraling about that thing, convinced that it's the source. But really, it's just what your brain grabbed onto to make the feeling make sense. This is why anxiety can feel so confusing. You're anxious about a specific thing. You try to solve that thing. You make a plan. You reassure yourself. You try to fix it. But the anxiety doesn't go away, because the anxiety wasn't actually about that thing. It was just free-floating panic that your mind tried to organize into a story. And the more you think about the story, the more anxious you get. Because now you're feeding the system. You're giving your brain more material to work with, more things to scan for danger, more reasons to stay on high alert, and the alarm keeps blaring. There's also this thing where anxiety builds up slowly without you noticing. Little stressors throughout the day, small moments of tension, things you didn't fully process. They accumulate, like pressure building in a bottle. And then something tiny happens, something that wouldn't normally bother you. Suddenly you're overwhelmed, not because that tiny thing was a big deal, but because it was the last drop, the thing that made the bottle overflow. But you don't see all the buildup, you just see the moment you broke. And you think, why am I falling apart over something so small? and you feel ridiculous. Like you should be able to handle this, but you're not reacting to the small thing. You're reacting to everything, all the accumulated stress you've been carrying around without realizing it. Your body has been keeping score, even when your conscious mind wasn't paying attention. Every time you pushed through when you were tired, every time you held something in instead of saying it, every time you dealt with something uncomfortable, and your nervous system was taking notes. And eventually, it has to release. And when it does, it feels random. But it's not random, it's just delayed. Anxiety also appears out of nowhere when your body is out of balance. You skipped a meal. You didn't sleep well. You had too much caffeine. You're dehydrated. These things affect your nervous system. They make it more reactive, more likely to misfire, and you might not connect those dots. You might not think, I'm anxious because I haven't eaten in 6 hours. You just feel anxious. And you assume there must be a psychological reason. But sometimes just physical. Your blood sugar is low, your body is stressed, and your brain interprets that physical stress as danger. So it sends out the anxiety signal. Not because anything is actually wrong, but because your system is running on empty and it's trying to get your attention. And this is where it gets tricky. Because once the anxiety is there, it doesn't matter what caused it. It feels the same either way. Whether it's real danger or low blood sugar or accumulated stress or just a misfiring alarm. The physical sensations are identical. So your brain's like, and you feel late to do something, fix something, figure out what's wrong. But sometimes there's nothing to fix. Sometimes you just need to wait it out, let the wave pass, let your nervous system calm down without trying to solve it or explain it or make it mean something. Most people can't do that. They need a reason. They need it to make sense. So they create narratives. They find things to worry about. They convince themselves that if they just think hard enough, what's causing this, and then they'll be able to stop it. But thinking about it just keeps it going, keeps the alarm active, keeps the anxiety alive. There's also something called anticipatory anxiety, where you're not anxious about something happening now. You're anxious about something that might happen later, or something that might never happen at all. Your brain is running simulations, imagining scenarios, preparing for threats that don't exist yet. And each simulation triggers a little bit of that fight or flight response, and those little bits add up until you're walking around in a constant state of low-level alarm, not about anything specific, just about everything, all at once. And that feels exhausting because you can't relax. You can't settle. There's always something your brain is tracking, some possible future problem that needs attention. And you might not even be consciously aware of it. You just feel tense, on edge, waiting for something bad to happen. Even though nothing is happening, this is why anxiety can feel like it comes out of nowhere. Because it's not coming from the present moment. It's coming from your brain's predictions about the future. And those predictions are often wrong. But they feel real. They generate real fear, real physical symptoms, and you respond to them like they're actual threats. Your brain is trying to protect you. That's all it's doing. It's running worst-case scenarios so you'll be prepared. So you won't be caught off guard. But the cost of that protection is constant worry, constant vigilance, constant anxiety that has nowhere to go. Because the threats aren't here yet. And most of them will never arrive. So what do you do when anxiety shows up for no reason? When you can't trace it back to a specific cause or fix it with logic? You stop trying to make it make sense. You stop searching for the reason. You stop building stories around why you feel this way. Because the story isn't helping, it's just giving your anxiety more fuel. More things to grab onto. more ways to convince you that something is wrong. Instead, you just acknowledge what's happening. I'm feeling anxious right now. My body is activated. My mind is racing. And that's okay. You don't need to know why. You don't need to fix it. You just need to let it be there, without making it worse by trying to solve it. Because anxiety isn't a problem to solve. It's a sensation to experience. It's uncomfortable, but it's not dangerous. It's doing what it thinks it needs to do. And eventually, when it realizes there's no actual threat, it'll calm down. The alarm will turn off. The chemicals will clear. And you'll feel normal again. But you have to let that process happen. You have to stop fighting it. Stop analyzing it. Stop trying to think your way out of it. Because thinking is what keeps it going. Action is what keeps it going. The more you do in response to anxiety to your brain, that the anxiety was justified, that there really was something to be afraid of. When you can just sit with it, breathe through it, let it wash over you without reacting. You teach your brain a different lesson. You teach it that anxiety isn't always a sign of danger, that sometimes it's just noise, just a glitch, just your nervous system doing its thing, and that you're okay, even when it feels like you're not. The anxiety will come, sometimes for a reason, sometimes for no reason at all. And that's just part of having a sensitive, protective system that cares about keeping you safe. You don't have to like it, but you also don't have to be at war with it. It's not your enemy, it's just your brain doing what brains do. Overreacting. Misfiring. Trying its best with imperfect information. And you're still here, still breathing, still moving through it, even when it feels impossible. That's not nothing. That's everything.